Hello and welcome back. So for the base, I think I can just keep using this color. I think it should be fine. I just need to define the color to something like, that maybe. From what I can see, I think it is something like this. It's very close to the color of the leaves. It might be just a little bit brighter actually. Yeah, something like that. Right. Now one more thing we can do is we can make the color has a gradient here, so the base ones are a little bit darker or older, and the younger leaves on the top should be a little bit brighter, right? So we can blend just another gradient map on top. Okay, of our image. Okay, and here we need to create a grayscale gradient map. Yeah, that should do it, and we can hit D button to dock this. And then here I'm going to change the operation to soft light. Yeah, so that's going to make the base just a little bit darker and the top a bit brighter. So that makes again the bottom area to be older looking and the top, the tip, to be brighter. Okay, but I don't want it to be that dramatic, so the opacity can be a little bit lower. Okay. All right. Cool. So that should be pretty much it for the color, unless you want to add little dots. I see some of the leaves have like smaller dots here and there, like those broken parts. Right, that can be added to the color here also if you wanted to try that. But that's the basic idea, right? If you want to add those dying parts, you just need to create a mask for it. Anyway, so I'm gonna call this guy final gradient. Okay, and that's gonna be the coloring. If I can, you know what? I'm gonna do this frame, and I'm gonna drag the corner and make it super long. Okay, and then I'm gonna change the alpha to all the way up, the color to be black. Okay, and frame color here, I'm gonna change alpha to 0. Actually, that's not what I want to do. I want to actually not see the title. Yeah, that's right. So that's gonna be give me a line here. Basically, it's easier for me to sometimes to organize stuff. So I have a line here. Let's see, Ctrl V, another line. Okay, so I know this part is for color. This, whatever that is between those two lines are color. If it's a little bit easier to drag things around. All right, so I can also create a frame here. Okay, this frame will not have that. Okay, and it's going to be having a name color. Okay, and so now we know this is for the color. And what's finished it, I think we can also refine the normal map a little bit more. So we have the base normal map. That means I can just Ctrl C, Ctrl V to have a copy paste. And Ctrl C, Ctrl V. And this guy will be normal. Okay, and then I can also add this. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. So here in the normal section, what I need to do is give it some wave, because they cannot be just that straight, right? So what I can do is just create a pretty noise, and then convert that into a normal, right? And then I can change the intensity to something like 30. Okay, that's probably too strong, but I can dial it down later on. And then I can do a normal combine. Okay, to combine those two things together. Okay, and then let's see, there's some high quality version of it. Okay, and then eventually we can do a normal, not blend, a normal blend, not normal blend. And we're blending this guy with this guy, and the alpha will be using our leaf alpha. So I'm gonna do a transformation 2D here just as a rewrite. Okay, so here I can create a comment. Mask, leaf, mask, rewrite. Rewrite. I guess that's how to do it. If I can pronounce that correctly. So this one will be the mask for that, and you can see what we got is basically it's more wavy here on the leaves, but not really affecting the branch and stuff. So that goes to the final result. Okay, you can see the leaves are having a little wave on them. Okay, as you can see here. Now how strong they are is going to be determined by this normal now, right? We can dial that down to weaken it. We can also blur this guy to make it weaker also, or not having such a such a high frequency or high contrast when it comes to the slope of those normals. We can change our scene to a rounded cylinder, so we can kind of like see how does it behave with lighting. Okay. All right, just some wavy-like shape on the leaves to make them not looking exactly like flat. All right. So that's the normal, very easy. Going down here, the roughness is also something we need to define properly. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. Go C, Control V. Okay, Control C, Control V. And this is gonna be the roughness. Okay, I don't think I need to comment this, but maybe add waves to leaves. Okay. Yeah, eventually roughness. So for roughness, what we want to do is want to first of all make the leaf different from the branch, but they could be the same. I think leaf and branch they should be very similar, but who knows. Let me Control C, Control V to copy our transformation 2D. Unfortunately, we cannot do that. Maybe we could. Let's try that. No, we can't. Alright, it's pasted here. It's not gonna follow me. Oh wow. Anyway, so this is gonna be another mask, right? And we can Control Alt, actually Alt Shift, and have a reroute node. Now, too bad that this reroute doesn't really do reroutes. You cannot drag another connection from it, which many other programs can do that. So I hope that they can fix it. Anyway, so we have this basic mask, right? And what we can do is we can do a blend to blend two values to uniform color here, grayscale color, to differentiate the roughness of the leaf and the branch. So for the leaf, I'm gonna change it to something a little bit more shinier, right? And for the branch, I can make it a little bit more rougher, right? So that they're a little bit different. But even for the leaf, I want to break it up a little bit. Okay. So instead of using this guy, let me do a reroute. So instead of using this guy right away, I can do a blend over here to blend it with a different color. But before I specify the colors, I can create a mask first. Okay. Grab these guys down. So the mask can be anything that is a noise. Let me do Cloud 3. I'm gonna do a slope blur grayscale to slope it. Okay. Crank up the sample, a little bit lower intensity until I got this blobby kind of like shape. Okay, I can also do a blur here. Okay, and maybe lower that down. You can see what I got. Okay, and then do a transformation 2D to shrink it twice. Alright, and that goes to the opacity. We can take a look at what that thing does, and by connecting it to the color, you can see what it does is basically creating like smaller portions of shiny part, but some of the portions are not. So this kind of like a variation. I could also say, okay, I can give it a histogram scan to change the contrast, right? Okay. So we'll have some area that is pretty bright and some area that is not, and there is some like a little blob of shiny part and some gray area that's not shiny kind of thing, right? And then let me connect the color back. Okay, so now I can define those two things differently. Okay, so here I can say, okay, you will be a rough color, right? And you will be a shiny color. You can see when I make it a little bit more shinier, you can feel like it's almost like there's some area of the leaf that does have water and some of them doesn't. Okay. Although I probably don't want it to be that strong. So I can create a blur here just to blur them a little bit, right? Okay, and I can also make this guy not as rough, so it also does have some, right? And this guy too shiny also. Just take those two things, right, until I had the variation I wanted to have. Roughness is a very important thing. You don't want it to mess. You don't want it to do it really quick and not tweaking it enough, because it is actually more important, in my opinion. It's more important than the color and the normal map, because those two things, they are visible when you're close, they will not be visible when you're far away, but the highlights will always be visible. Here you can see highlights over here. You don't see the normal map, right? You don't see a lot of color, you just see the reflection, right? So that's why it's important, because it defines the basic behavior or the appearance of the leaves when they're far away. Okay, so spend here a little bit more time if you are not sure if you're getting it right. You can find some reference maybe. Okay. Maybe just make it really sharp so it looks kind of like interesting. Just a bit lesser. Okay, so yeah, I think that should be it for the setup of the roughness. So I can say, okay, this is leaf. And this one, branch roughness. Alright, and that should be the roughness. So we have color, normal roughness. That should be all we need. We have the opacity, of course. So yeah, that's the opacity. We don't need any metallic, so just keep it here for now. And then this is opacity. And yeah, I don't think we need to do anything here, because even you tried, right, to maybe make the edge a bit transparent. Many game engine does not like that. They can either allow you to make it transparent or not, or they give you option to make it transparent in a gradient way, but then prevent you from using normal map. So it's pretty limited when it comes to transparency when it comes to game engine. So let's just don't do anything over there. Alright, cool. So that's going to be the entire graph of the setup of the leaves. Okay, so let's move on to the next video, and then we can bring this back to Maya. We can set up some actual geometries, right, to capture those maps, to create a real geometry that will be our model of the foliage. Okay, see you next time.